This Wednesday's weekly question comes from Reddit user BM Parent, who wants to know more about questioning our faith. Welcome to The Current Christian, where we give disciples the tools and tips they need to grow their ministry. Every Wednesday, we release a video where we explore questions that you ask on the internet. You won't want to miss our next episode, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're interested in sending us your own question, you can do so by tweeting us at TheCurrentChrist, got it written out, and putting hashtag WWQ. So let's see what BM Parent is asking. By questioning your faith, can you grow closer or further away from it, or both? If you question your faith after constructing a solid foundation of what your faith is, and then go back from time to time to re-examine those original foundations you built your faith on, would that help strengthen it? But if we go back and find different answers to those foundational questions you personally constructed, is your faith in vain? If we don't question those things, are we being meek or just arrogant? Or is true faith never letting go of the original faith regardless of where your life leads you? Wow. All right. So there's some seriously deep stuff there. So let's break it down and list out what you're asking. So the first question obviously is it good to question your faith? I think it is good to know and understand why you believe what you believe. Knowing where you put your faith and why you put your faith there would be like knowing where or why the load-bearing beams are in your house. If you try and build on your house and aren't building on the beams, then you're at risk of having the house completely fall apart. But if you don't have the right beams in the right place, again, you are also at risk of having the house fall apart. Jesus talks about this in Matthew 7 as the last lesson he teaches during the Sermon on the Mount. Anyone who listens to my teachings and follow it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock. Matthew chapter 7, verse 24. So if you're exploring why you believe what you believe and it isn't rooted in Jesus, then it may not be something you should be putting your faith in. For example, people have tried to have me think I was dumb for being a Christian because the Old Testament isn't 100% historically or scientifically accurate. However, that's not why I'm a follower of Jesus. I follow Jesus because my faith is in him. So if you recognize that your faith isn't fully in Jesus, you're not the first Christian to encounter this. Paul had to help the early church often by reminding them that their faith isn't in the law, isn't in comfort, isn't in money, or anything earthly. Our faith is in Jesus. And in Galatians chapter 1, verse 6 and 7, Paul says, I am shocked that you are turning away so soon from God, who called you to himself through the loving mercy of Christ. You are following a different way that pretends to be the good news, but is not the good news at all. You are being fooled by those who deliberately twist the truth concerning Christ. And to summarize, the good news is that we can be made perfect in God's eyes by trusting that Jesus' resurrection has allowed for this. But can we grow closer to or further away from God if we question our faith? I would say that it is very possible to both grow closer or further from God. I hope that the result of exploring and questioning will be that you grow closer to God, but there are people who have built too much of their life on the wrong beliefs that it would cause too much short-term pain for them to accept the truth. There are also people who never experience God's pure love and feel so lost after finding out that their faith was not in the right area that they just abandon it altogether. So when would we consider faith to be in vain? I would say it's when you give up. True failure only comes when you choose to give up. Not only do you miss out on learning something valuable, but the world also misses out in learning from you. A great example is Judas committing suicide. I believe God has enough grace and mercy to forgive him, but he didn't have enough grace and mercy on himself. His suicide means we missed out on a great account of his life lessons, experiences, and thoughts on Jesus. But, we can always learn from our mistakes and grow from them, but we gain nothing when we give up. If you find your faith was not in the right thing, then sweet, you've just learned something valuable about where not to put your faith. But is true faith never letting go of your original thoughts? Well, faith is where you put your trust. If you always put your trust in God, you can't really go wrong. But if you put your faith in something else, then you end up setting yourself up for disappointment. Hebrews chapter 11 is full of famous people throughout the Bible who had faith. Their faith consisted in believing in God, giving to God, seeking God, trusting God, and acting on their faith in God. So I'd highly recommend spending time slowly reading through Romans and Hebrews. I'm sure God will highlight things that he specifically wants to share with you in order to grow your faith and make sure you have your faith in the right place. So thank you for watching. I'd also like to thank our community of supporters over on Patreon. This video would not be made possible without you. And if you really like this video, you too can join our crew of Patreon supporters by donating a few dollars a month to The Current Christian. Remember to hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon if you haven't done so already. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in our next video.